The person you're looking at is a British or Norwegian, rather, comedian who appeared in some British television programs in the early 80s. Apparently, although some dispute that he ever existed, and his stage name was Roy J. Uh, and I had no clue about this guy. I didn't know, had never heard of him um, until it came to my attention via the algorithm that they were talking about him on 4chan. See, apparently, uh, the story goes that somebody on 4chan saw something of his, looked him up, tried to enter his name into a search engine, got no results, and then a few hours later tried again, and results were everywhere this time, and he even had a Wikipedia page. So there's all kinds of crazy, bizarre theories now about Roy J. It's really quite fascinating that maybe he never existed. Maybe he's something invented by AI. Maybe it's all part of an experiment to try to weave this fictitious character into history, or maybe he's some kind of demon. He's if you watch him, he doesn't strike me as terribly demonic. He just seems kind of goofy, a kind of goofy, corny comedian. He's a little strange. He's a little kind of oddball, but nothing sinister that registers to me as sinister about him. Nevertheless, that's how some people take him or feel about him, and feel about his what they find out about him online in various obscure, now obscure television shows on British TV in like 80, 82, 83, 84, around that time. So his name is Roy J. Excuse me. Look him up if you're interested. Just type it into the search engine, and you're in for some entertainment. However you feel about this whole notion of him not even really existing, and these kind of bizarre theories about him. It's fascinating whichever way you look at it, and it's kind of it's interesting in a meta sort of way. I believe that's what I take from this whole suspicion that people have about this again, just incredibly obscure sort of character who becomes the locus of of so much angst online. Again, however you feel about it, I'm not scornful of it. I don't look down on it. I'm not convinced, but I don't know. It could be, and I'm not someone who's I think I'm pretty open-minded about possibilities about this kind of stuff. I definitely I'm a Mandela effect believer. I don't know what causes it, but I know I've had my own experiences with it, and I've recorded videos about it, and those videos are usually very divisive. Some people just think I'm wasting my time and making an idiot of myself by even talking about it, and they're just never gonna watch me again. And others are on the same page with me, and also have their own experiences, or at least find it interesting or plausible or whatever. What I thought of when I watched when I watched these videos about Roy J, and the 4chan controversy over him. I thought of the movie Wag the Dog, which I have talked about before. When I saw the movie Wag the Dog back in 1997 when it came out, a movie that was written by David Mamet, great famous playwright, very talented. There's his dialogue, the dialogue that he crafts is well known and kind of calls attention to itself as being Mamet-esque and so forth. So Mamet wrote the screenplay for this movie, Wag the Dog, which is about this incident in which a president running for re-election has this sex scandal, and to divert attention away from it, and this was before anything with Bill Clinton happened. It was before Monica Lewinsky and the subsequent attack on an aspirin factory somewhere in where was it, Africa or whatever, a couple days later after the story broke, which everybody compared to Wag the Dog at the time, with justice. But so in order to distract people from the president's sex scandal, they create this war. They say, we've got to go to war with Albania, and they just concoct this whole thing from whole cloth, and they use special effects, and they're like green screen and to create a battle scene and show what makes the Albanian regime dangerous and why we have to have regime change in Albania. And all the while that I was watching that movie at the time, and I go into this in my review of Wag the Dog. At the time, I remember thinking, this would be really crazy if the world were really like this. That was how I felt about it in 1997. What if our leaders really were this so without scruple and so clever and so capable, and they had all these tools at their disposal to just fabricate things, to just fabricate the news. Wouldn't that be something if we lived in a world like that? I'm laughing at myself, but I'm also it was common sentiment at the time. It was like, people weren't as what's the word? Weren't as skeptical, weren't as cynical, weren't as it was a time where conspiracy theorizing, if you will, was much less common. And so this was, at the time, I think Wag the Dog wasn't really seen as a ripping a veil away from what the elites are actually doing to us. And of course, when I watched it more recently, within the last couple of years, that was the only thing I thought of was, yeah, this is totally a revelation of the method. This is totally. And I don't know how much David Mamet knows or doesn't know as a writer. Although I guess maybe I'm alleging that he must know things that, as an insider, as an entertainment industry insider, he must know things. But I don't, I don't know exactly who I'm finding culpable or who's responsible. But it does seem to me so clearly now when you watch Wag the Dog that that's what it is. It's ripping the veil away and saying, this is what they're doing. This is what they do. This is exactly what they do. This is not set in a world where things are are a little bit crazier than they are here. This is set in our world. This is what's happening to us right now. This is what our ruling class and the media controllers and the elites. This is what they're doing to us right now. It's an autobiography. Just like Rowdy Roddy Piper said about They Live. They Live was nonfiction. It was an autobiography. So anyway, what makes me think of Roy J. The reason why I'm comparing the movie Wag the Dog with Roy J. is there's a scene in Wag the Dog where they have this guy get captured, or they create this situation in which this American military hero named Schumann gets captured by Albanian forces. But of course, the real Schumann is just some, the guy that is somebody acting the part, and it all becomes ever more meta when you consider the actor they got to play Schumann and the story about that guy, whose name is escaping me right now, but you'll know it when you Woody Harrelson. There it is. It just popped in there. So Woody Harrelson plays this guy who's supposedly this military hero, but he's actually I can't remember if he's just some criminal or anyway, he's just kind of nuts. He's just somebody that they're using to represent what they want him to represent, and then they're gonna just get rid of him and say that he died a hero in Albania. And they create this situation where they have their agents going around saying, wasn't there a song back in the 30s, like a blues song called Good Old Shoe? And so they start a whisper campaign about this song that supposedly actually existed in the 30s that didn't actually exist. But then they record a song and they slip it into the Library of Congress, and then that song gets quote unquote found by the media, and the media starts playing it, and it's like it becomes this sort of like what Tie a Yellow Ribbon became for the hostages in Iran. It becomes this this song that everybody thinks of when they think of the necessity of deposing the Albanian regime. They think about this Good Old Shoe song, and they dedicate it to the memory of the hero Schumann, who supposedly died at the hands of the wicked Albanian dictator and his regime. So they create this song and they make it a part of history, even though it was never a part of history, and people just accept it. They say, oh yeah, I kind of remember that, even though like people who were old enough who were actually alive in the 30s who didn't actually remember it convinced themselves that they remembered it, because, or at least believed that it was really out there, that it was really a song, because who would believe that it was just created whole cloth by the media industrial complex and then recorded in a studio in the 90s and then made to sound like a scratchy old blues record from the 30s. Who would believe that? So it must be real, right? And so the normalcy bias, which we still have, which I still have, and I think that you stick. I'm going to stick with what seems most reasonable until proven otherwise. So my tendency is not to think that Roy J is some multi-dimensional demon or some AI construct, but rather that he was actually real, and that this person who looked for search results didn't find any, maybe because, I don't know, of some kind of glitch, but then what he found later was what had always been there. I'm gonna just believe that until conclusively proven or shown otherwise, until I'm convinced otherwise, because you stick with what's most plausible first, before. But I mean that you still can entertain ideas, and you can still be fascinated by ideas like this, and it seems very plausible to me, especially with they have more and more ways to fool us. They have more and more ways to convince, to mind fuck us. They have more and more ways to convince us of this, that, and the other being real. And Oceania is at war with East Asia. Oceania has always been at war with East Asia. Just even though just yesterday Oceania was at war with Eurasia, but it changed overnight, and now all of reality, all of the conflicting records go down the memory hole, or become residue, as the Mandela effect people call it. So yeah, it's very interesting, the issues that are raised by this whole Roy J. Controversy, if you want to call it that. So those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts below. What do you think? If you're old enough, maybe if you're someone around my age, and you actually remember this Roy J. person when he was contemporary, when he was actually on television, and you can attest that from your memory he is real, I'd be interested in hearing anybody like that. You'd probably have to be from the UK. But I know I have some people in the UK who watch my videos. So any memories of this guy? Any thoughts about this whole thing? I'm very interested to hear what anybody thinks.